Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. We are getting started with the dreaded M's. I think that's what someone called it, Milan and MRI. But we're going to take a dive into Milan Systemic Therapy on this Sunday evening. I am going to try my best to make this model not seem as dreadful or difficult to understand as I know that most people seem to think it is. I am going to try my best to make this as plain as I possibly can. The first thing that we are going to go over is going to be the practice of systemic therapy. This is going to be your key terms for Milan. Now, stay with me. I did a chart as I always do. I am going to add these charts to the GroupMe app that we have for the PDFs and any videos that people want to share. If you are not in the GroupMe app for my chat, for my Facebook group, I will leave the GroupMe link in the description of this video. Please join in if you would like this chart and the rest of the charts for these further models that we're going to be covering. Let's get started with the first one. I'm not even going to try to say that word, but we're on the first two. The first two that starts with the letter E. That is simply going to be how you, your family, or how your client that you are working with organize and maintain their own reality. How they understand their organization of their family, the function of their family, it's their own reality. That's what we're talking about. This is the thing, like even when I work with my kids at the school for these two examples, I'm going to use this first one. We're still on that first top line there. Parents believe that the teen is defiant, shaping how they interpret all of their behavior, right? Just because like, oh, I've told you, 2 times to pick this up already, you're defiant. You don't do anything I tell you to do. But when it is an error, it is a mistaken belief or assumption that maintains that dysfunction. That parent thinks that that child is defiant, but she's ignoring that this child may not be defiant. He might be depressed or have anxiety. The mother assumes that the behavior is like purposely being done, but it's not. That child might have depression or anxiety. Like I know a lot of the times, and I'm going to be funny, like in Black households, when we used to tell our mom, like, well, I don't feel good right now. You do feel good. You just don't want to do what I tell you to do. That was their own assumptions that they had. You're being defiant to me because I'm telling you, but I might have been sick, might have been depressed, but according to her, my mother, you're being defiant and you don't want to follow my rules. That's the era, and that's the origin of how some of these things are created. The epistemology, I don't know if I said it right, but yes, that is how you explain those two. When we think about the analogic message, that is the nonverbal or the emotional parts of the communication. It's nonverbal, it's body language, right? You can't say I'm fine, but you're sitting there crying or you got a mad look on your face, right? But the digital message, that is the verbal, I'm fine. Analogic, you're crying. Right? You're crying, but yet you're saying, I'm fine. That's the analogical. Meta-communication, that's the communication about the communication. When you talk to me that way, it makes me feel like you don't care. You make me feel like I'm nothing to you. That's the communication. I'm communicating with you how you communicate. The communication about the communication. When you yell at me, you make me feel like this. The communication about the communication. Punctuation. That's how each person is going to be assigning to the beginning end of an interaction sequence, right? I yelled because you ignored me versus I ignored you because you always yell. I yelled because you ignored me. I did this because you did that. Not because, I ignored you because you always yell. That's the punctuation aspect, right? But when we look at the games, these are the patterns that maintain a system. It's kind of like what you do in your family. It's covert, right? But it's repetitive, right? A child acts out to keep the parents from arguing. So now it's like whenever I know when my parents are going to start arguing, if I act out, they're going to stop arguing and this focus is going to be on me. It's just the patterns that maintain the system. It's out there, right? The dirty game. This is the dysfunctional alliance, or it is that secret that keeps the symptoms in place, right? A teen that aligns with one parent to exclude the other, it's going to intensify the conflict, but it's kind of like the middleman, the dirty game, the middle of it, right? I'm going to side with here or here, but it's secretive, right? Even though it's intensifying that conflict, it's dysfunctional alliance that you have, or that secret that is continuing to keep the symptom in place. You don't even realize that you keeping this secret right now with this relationship that you have with your mother or your father is keeping this symptom right where it is, right? It's keeping it right where it is. And that is when we talk about like the more of the same, right? The more of the same approach, where it's like you keep doing the exact same things, same solutions, you keep getting the exact same responses to it. When we think about the invariant prescription, this is going to be the directive for the parents. You need to spend some time together, but you don't need to tell anybody about it, because there are some unhealthy coalitions that is going on. Don't tell the children. We need to get these parents right where they're supposed to be, because for some reason that son and that mother, or that daughter and that father has a coalition, and it should not be that way. So now we got to move that around. We got to fix that. So the parents are going to go out, don't tell the kids, because we got to get that coalition, we got to get rid of it, and we got to get the parents right where they're supposed to be. The positive connotation. This is the positive intent that we are going to assign to the behaviors, so that it doesn't look like it's negative or somebody is to blame for it. Your son is not just angry to piss you off or to upset you. His anger is actually protecting the family from expressing something much deeper. Your daughter is not just not wanting to go to school because she's lazy. She's possibly wanting to spend more time with you because you work so much. Makes sense? I'll say that again. Now, your son is not angry to piss you off or to upset you. His anger is actually protecting the family from something else. Your daughter is not just avoiding school because she's lazy. She's probably not going to school because she wants to spend more time with you because you work so much. By the time you get home, she's probably in the bed asleep already. So she feels like if she avoids school, she can spend more time with you. That's a positive connotation, and I hope that makes sense. Comment any positive connotations that you come up with. The more and more that you use it, the more and more that you define it, the more and more it's going to make sense to you, right? A ritual is just something that is prescribed to the family in order to shift some of those patterns that they have, right? You can do anything. Like there's a nightly routine. Each night I want you guys to pray for 30 minutes, do a gratitude exercise with each other in order to reduce conflict. It's like a ritual. It's something that is structured, and the therapist is going to prescribe it to the family. Neutrality. This is where the therapist does not need to be, oh, I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying over here. No, I need you to understand everybody. I don't need you to be taking sides. I need you to be impartial with everyone. It needs to be equal when it comes to everybody's perspective and viewpoint that is in that room. That's being neutral. Hypothesizing. This is just you testing something. You have a hunch about something, right? You know, he may be acting out because of this. She may does this because of this. It's just your sole hypothesis that you are going to come up with as to why you think some of the patterns of behaviors are continuing to occur. You know that the team approach is just the reflection team. They're the ones that are observing, generating a hypothesis, coming in, giving an intervention, and working with the family. It's the one-way mirror effect with the team approach. Circular questions. This is just going to be a lot of questions that the therapist is going to ask in relations to other people and their interaction sequences. When your daughter is late for dinner, how does mom respond? When the son is missing his curfew, how does dad respond to that? It's just going to figure out who's holding some of these symptomatic patterns, who has an alliance with who, in order for us to break up some of those disruptive patterns that is keeping the family in the same realm that they are in. That's That's it for the key terms for Milan Systemic Therapy. And I hope it made much sense to you. If it does not, please leave me a message, comment, or concern. I'm trying my best to make this as plain as I possibly can. Let's move on to domain 2, assessing, hypothesizing, the diagnosis. Now, we know for Milan is going to start with the phone call. It's got to be the brief phone call that they're going to give with the family to kind of gather the family structure, find out what the problem is, why you're coming to therapy in the first place, what are your expectations of therapy, and also providing some of that basic information when it comes to the therapy process. They're going to go down a line of like, hey, this is what we do the first time, this is what we do at the second stage, and so forth and so on. The assessment phase is the phone call for Milan. Now, we're going to move on to designing and conducting treatment, domain 3. This is your phases of therapy. Stay with me, right? Stay with me. So we are looking into the structure of therapy, right? In the phase of it. But let's talk about some of these goals, right? Because I know some of the times the goals is what kind of like throws people when it comes to Milan. When we are looking at Milan, we simply need to create new information into the system. It's not more so like, oh, get rid of that. No, I just want you to have this new information into the system, and hopefully that family itself is going to start utilizing it. We need to give new meanings to help support some of the systemic functioning. That is where the positive connotation come in. Stop calling your son lazy. Stop saying that your daughter is defiant. Stop saying, oh, she's angry, she's upset. No. We need to look at that in a healthier way. Just like I said, your daughter is not doing school refusal because she's lazy. She probably just wants to spend more time with you. That is the new information that I am putting into this system, and hopefully it can shift some of those interaction patterns that they're having. So in all, once I get this mom to understand that your daughter is not refusing school because she's lazy, and you just realize that she's wanting to spend more time with you, when you notice that your daughter is like refusing school, you may say something different to her. Hey, I noticed that you're just not trying to go to school this week. What can I do? How should you and I spend this day together with each other? It's a new way. It's adjustment. It's not so much as like, oh, stop doing that. No, I want you to see the shift. Once that starts to happen, we can eliminate some of these systems that's going on. That is your whole goal of Milan therapy. It is an ahistoric approach. It does not focus on the past. Don't go looking for anything in the past. Past events can be discussed, but it also needs to be focusing on how that past event is now interacting or how it is interrupting the current present moment of behaviors and interactions. 10 sessions, 1 month apart. So when it comes to Milan, they are going to use as many family members that are directly related to the problem. We don't need grandma, grandpa, and uncles there unless they are directly related to the problem, right? The families, we know they are observed. The one-way mirror is what they're going to use, and that's how the therapists are going to ultimately help the family, disrupt some of those symptoms that they are currently having. Now, let's take a look at the structure of therapy. So stay with me. It's 5 different parts here, right? You got the pre-session. You got the session, you got the intercession, you got an intervention, then you have the post-session. That pre-session is just what, right? Not meeting with the family. We got to sit back and talk about what the receptionist probably talked about on that phone call, right? We need to make sure that we have some clarity on some of what these goals, what this family is looking for, and then they're going to start looking at some of these hypotheses of what they have with the family. Then the session, they are coming in. The family is now a part of this part where the therapist is going to be doing what? We need to be looking at some of these interaction patterns. Right? We're going to be looking at some of the analogical messages that they are having, the communication styles, and the relational dynamics that they are going to have. Now, once they've done that and all that good stuff, then they're going to have an intercession. The therapist behind the one-way mirror is going to go back, right? They got to come up with this intervention that they need for the family. That's going to be a circular question, positive connotation, invariant, or a ritual, right? And those Interventions that they use that is meant to do what? We need to shift and we need to introduce, right? Introduce, not about stop doing that, take it away. Nope, we just need to introduce some new information into the system, and then they're going to come back and they're going to present the intervention, right? Whether if it's going to be a paradoxical intervention or whatever, and then this is going to help reinforce what that therapist thought that hypothesis was in the first place. And then session number 5 is just going to be that post-session discussion, debriefing, redefining the hypothesis if they feel like something was off or whatever. And then they're going to just plan for the next session, taking notes, patterns, successes, anything that needs to be readjusted. That's what they're going to do. And again, it's like going to start all over again sometimes, preparing for the next session, the pre-session planning again, if it was all off the first time. That's all that it is for Milan Systemic Therapy. If you still feel that it is something that you do not understand about this model, leave me a question, a comment, or a concern. But one of the things that I want each and every one of you to start doing, please, when you view a model, when you've read it, when you've studied it, please check your understanding. You can check your understanding any kind of way, whether if you want to ask yourself some questions such as these right here, or I wish I would have known about ChatGPT and Google Gemini when I was studying for the exam, and I would have done it. But after you've studied a model, put some questions in ChatGPT just to check your understanding. Make sure you're checking the validity of it and making sure that it's making sense to what you just read. So here's some questions I want you to all take a few minutes to look over. You can answer them in the comment section. Sometimes when you hear about it, you read it, you write it. You hear it, you read it, and you write it, and then it becomes something that you have clarity and understanding over it for. How does Milan therapy assess circular patterns rather than linear cause and effect? Because when it comes to Milan, what is it about? Right? It's the interactions and the patterns between each other that is mutually influencing the symptoms that is causing the family to be stuck where they are in the first place, right? What does a Milan approach mean by systemic functioning? I just got finished saying that. It's all about the family system. It's not just linear. It's not just this one individual that is the cause of the problem. It is everyone is mutually influencing one another, right? And how is the circular question used to explore relationships? Easily. Because now, if I'm asking you something about your mother or I'm asking you something about your sister, we're definitely going to see what these relationship patterns are going to be like. Who has alliances with who can't stand who gets on each other's nerves and things. That's what the circular questioning is going to do, right? Describe a typical session structure in Milan model. You can go through that any kind of way that you want to and just talk your way through it. The Milan model starts off with what? The pre-session. It ends with the post-session. In the intersession, this happens. In their intervention phase, this is what happens. Talk your way through it so that it makes sense to you. Always, 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 after you do a model, check your understanding. There's no reason for you to be reading some of these models, going through all of these theories and going through all these concepts and these aspects and these key terms, and you don't know what the heck you are reading when you're done. Check your understanding. All right, everyone, that ends for Milan Systemic Therapy. Stay on the way because MRI is coming up next. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to always leave me a comment. Just like I said, answer some of these questions in the comment section. I would love to read how you are checking your own understanding. If you feel that this video has helped you in any kind of way, please leave me a super thanks or donate to this channel. I could definitely use it so that I can buy new materials such as test banks and maybe some new programs for the California State License Exam. I would love to do that. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.